Mocked on national TV for her heartfelt performance, Taylor Swift stays silent until a shocking lawsuit exposes lies and leaves everyone stunned. It was a night meant to be a celebration of unity and hope. Taylor Swift, known for her grace and heartfelt connection with fans, was invited to perform the national anthem at a swearing-in ceremony for a newly elected official. The event carried immense significance, drawing leaders, families, and spectators eager to witness the moment. For Taylor, it was an opportunity to bring people together through music, something she had always believed in. The grand stage was set against the iconic Washington, D.C. skyline, with cameras capturing every detail. As Taylor stepped forward, dressed in a simple yet elegant navy gown that symbolized dignity, the crowd fell silent. Her blonde hair gently swayed in the evening breeze, and her eyes reflected a mix of humility and confidence. The first note of her performance rang out, clear and powerful, instantly captivating the audience. Her voice soared effortlessly, touching every soul present. The rendition wasn't just flawless, it was heartfelt, carrying an unspoken message of unity. As the anthem reached its final crescendo, the crowd erupted into applause, some wiping away tears. Taylor had delivered what she was known for, a performance that resonated deeply with anyone who listened. But the beauty of the moment didn't last long. As Taylor left the stage, she exchanged a brief handshake and a warm smile with the official, an act of courtesy and respect. What should have been an ordinary gesture would soon become a source of extraordinary controversy. While the attendees celebrated the performance, whispers began circulating about Taylor's participation. Some questioned her decision to perform at a political event. Others speculated about her intentions. By the time Taylor exited the venue, the seed of criticism had already been planted. The night that was supposed to be about unity now carried an undercurrent of unease. Taylor returned home unaware of the storm brewing online. Social media posts began dissecting her performance, her choice of gown, and even her handshake. The same voice that had moved a crowd was about to become the center of a brewing firestorm. Taylor had no idea that the very grace she displayed on stage would soon be questioned, and that her resolve would be tested in ways she had never imagined. The morning after Taylor's performance, the world seemed different. What should have been a moment of celebration quickly turned into a battlefield of opinions. News outlets buzzed with coverage of the event, and social media was ablaze with reactions. At first, it was the usual mix, some applauding her flawless performance, while others debated the significance of her appearance. But it didn't take long for the tone to shift. One prominent liberal TV host kicked off the controversy during a morning segment. "Taylor Swift," they began with a smirk. "Is she a singer or a political symbol now?" What followed was a pointed critique of everything from her song arrangement to her handshake with the official. The choice of that handshake, the host claimed, wasn't accidental. It was a message. They scrutinized her gown, labeling it as overly deliberate and symbolic. A casual gesture of respect had now become the epicenter of a growing storm. The segment sparked immediate reactions online. Critics began echoing the narrative, accusing Taylor of aligning herself politically. Hashtags questioning her integrity started trending. "Swift sellout" appeared in countless posts, while others accused her of hypocrisy. What began as a harmless handshake was now being dissected as though it held the weight of a national scandal. Taylor's fans rallied to her defense, creating counter hashtags like "We Stand with Taylor" and sharing clips of her performance with messages of support. "She's just a performer, not a politician," one tweet read. But the louder the supporters grew, the more aggressive the criticism became. Prominent media personalities joined the fray, amplifying the attacks and speculating about Taylor's motives. It wasn't just about her performance anymore. It was about her as a person. A widely shared clip of her brief interaction with the official was replayed on loop across various networks. "Is this the Taylor we thought we knew?" one host asked, their tone dripping with sarcasm. Another accused her of betraying the values she claimed to represent. The narrative had spiraled out of control. For someone who had always stayed away from political controversies, the backlash was uncharted territory. Taylor's silence only fueled the fire. Without a statement from her, speculation filled the void. Every headline, every tweet, and every talk show segment seemed intent on tearing apart her image. The criticism reached a personal level when commentators began questioning her values. Some dug into her past interviews and lyrics, twisting her words to fit their narrative. Others mocked her for not speaking out, interpreting her silence as guilt. It wasn't just professional. This was an attack on who Taylor was as a person. But through it all, Taylor said nothing. She remained composed, refusing to engage with the chaos. While the media frenzy escalated, she stayed in the background, quietly watching. To the world, it seemed like she was defeated. But behind the scenes, Taylor was preparing to make her move. A move that no one, not even her harshest critics, saw coming. What began as criticism of Taylor Swift's performance quickly spiraled into something far more damaging. Within days, the media narrative took a sharp turn, with certain TV hosts crossing the line from analysis to outright defamation. It was no longer about her singing or her gown. It had become a full-scale attack on her character. One prominent liberal TV show dedicated an entire segment to dissecting her handshake with the official. This wasn't just a handshake, the host sneered. It was a clear endorsement of a divisive agenda. The clip played repeatedly, each time with exaggerated commentary that painted Taylor as politically motivated. The hosts went as far as to suggest that her performance was a calculated PR stunt to align herself with power, a claim that had no basis in reality. But they didn't stop there. Another show aired a segment titled The Real Taylor Swift. It featured so-called experts who analyzed her body language, claiming that her smile during the handshake was insincere. "She's not just a singer," one pundit claimed. "She's a strategist who knows exactly what she's doing." The narrative grew more sinister as the days went on. Accusations of hypocrisy surfaced, with commentators twisting her past interviews and lyrics to suggest she had always harbored political leanings. One host even went as far as questioning her faith, something Taylor had always held close to her heart. Can someone who claims to represent love and unity truly believe what she's singing? They asked, their tone laced with mockery. These remarks weren't just harsh. They were deeply personal, aimed at dismantling the very foundation of who Taylor was. Social media fed the fire. Memes and doctored clips flooded timelines, with critics mocking everything from her performance to her silence. The hashtags against her grew nastier, filled with baseless accusations and insults. Even her fans, who initially rallied in her defense, struggled to keep up with the relentless wave of negativity. Taylor's silence became another weapon used against her. "Why isn't she saying anything?" one commentator questioned. "Is it because she knows we're right?" The absence of a response allowed rumors to grow unchecked. Gossip sites began publishing speculative stories, further muddying the waters. It wasn't just criticism anymore. It was a coordinated effort to tear her down. Behind the scenes, Taylor and her team were watching it all unfold. Every baseless claim, every false narrative, and every defamatory remark was being documented. While the world thought she was retreating, she was preparing. Taylor wasn't one to engage in public feuds, but this wasn't just about her reputation. It was about standing up to a system that had gone too far. As the media frenzy reached its peak, Taylor finally made her move. She didn't release a statement or grant an interview. Instead, she filed a lawsuit against the network and the hosts who had led the defamation campaign. The legal action sent shockwaves through the industry. For the first time, the tables were turning, and the same media personalities who had mocked her were now under the microscope. Taylor's silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And her fight for justice was just beginning. Weeks of relentless criticism and baseless accusations had passed, and Taylor Swift remained silent. While her fans defended her with unwavering loyalty, the media continued to twist the narrative, questioning her motives and even her values. But Taylor was not retreating. She was quietly preparing for a response that no one saw coming. When Taylor finally broke her silence, It wasn't through an emotional Instagram post or a televised interview. It was with an official lawsuit. The announcement came as a shock to both her critics and supporters. Filed against the network and its lead TV host, the lawsuit accused them of defamation and intentional character assassination. This wasn't a move of retaliation. It was a stand for truth and accountability. The legal filing was meticulous, detailing how the network had crossed ethical boundaries. Taylor's legal team cited specific segments where the hosts falsely suggested she was politically aligned, labeled her a hypocrite, and even questioned her faith. The suit also included evidence of deliberate manipulation, such as editing clips to create a misleading narrative. One particularly damning piece of evidence was a leaked email exchange between producers, instructing the hosts to push a divisive angle to boost ratings. Taylor's public statement accompanying the lawsuit was brief but powerful. "This isn't about criticism or differing opinions," she said. "It's about accountability. Words have power, and when they are used carelessly or maliciously, they can cause real harm. This fight isn't just for me. It's for everyone who has ever been unfairly targeted by false narratives." Her statement struck a chord with millions. Fans praised her courage, with one commenting, "Taylor is fighting for truth, not just for herself, but for anyone who's been wrongfully attacked." Even some critics began to question the network's tactics, especially as details of the lawsuit surfaced. The network's response was immediate and defensive. The hosts dismissed the lawsuit as a desperate attempt to silence the media. But behind the scenes, panic was setting in. The leaked emails and evidence Taylor's team presented painted a grim picture of the network's practices. Taylor's bold move marked a turning point. Her silence had been misinterpreted as weakness, but now the world could see it for what it truly was: strength and determination. She wasn't just defending her reputation. She was holding those who had crossed the line accountable. And this was only the beginning of a battle that would captivate the entire nation. The courtroom was packed on the day the trial began. Journalists, fans, and curious onlookers filled every seat, their eyes fixed on the figure who had captivated the world, Taylor Swift. She entered the room with quiet confidence, dressed simply, yet every step she took commanded respect. This wasn't a stage she was used to, but she carried herself with the same grace that had made her an icon. The opening statement set the tone for what would be a gripping legal showdown. Taylor's legal team started with a powerful narrative. They presented her as a victim of deliberate defamation, a public figure whose character had been unfairly attacked for the sake of ratings. "This is not about criticism," her lawyer declared, pacing the courtroom with conviction. "This is about crossing ethical boundaries. It's about turning falsehoods into headlines and damaging a person's reputation for profit." The evidence was damning. Taylor's team played clips from the TV segments in question. One by one, the jury watched as the hosts dissected her performance with exaggerated claims. "Look at that handshake," one host had said, smirking. "If that doesn't scream political allegiance, I don't know what does." Another clip showed a pundit questioning her faith, twisting her past statements to paint her as a hypocrite. The words weren't just harsh, they were venomous, aimed at tearing her down. The defense argued that their commentary was protected under the First Amendment. Criticism of public figures is not only legal, their lawyer argued, but essential to a free press. They claimed that their remarks were opinions based on public actions, not statements of fact. But Taylor's team was prepared for this argument. Emails leaked during the discovery process turned the tide. Taylor's lawyer presented internal communications from the network's producers, instructing the hosts to push a divisive narrative about her performance. One email read, "Make it controversial. The audience eats that up." Another explicitly directed the team to exaggerate the handshake and frame it as a political statement. The courtroom buzzed as the emails were read aloud, the implications clear. This wasn't criticism. It was calculated defamation. Then came the most shocking piece of evidence, a secretly recorded conversation between two producers of the show. In the tape, one producer admitted to exaggerating claims to stir controversy. "Controversy sells," they said bluntly. "We don't care if it's true. We need viewers." The recording played in the courtroom, and the air grew thick with tension. Gasps echoed as the jury absorbed the clear intent behind the network's actions. Taylor's turn on the stand was perhaps the most emotional moment of the trial. She spoke calmly but with a raw honesty that left many in the room visibly moved. "I've spent my entire career trying to bring people together through music," she said, her voice steady. "To see my actions twisted into something I never intended. It's devastating. But it's not just about me. It's about my family, my fans, and the people who look up to me." Her voice cracked slightly as she described how the attacks had affected her personally. "My young nieces asked me why people were saying such awful things about me. How do you explain to children that sometimes people will say anything to tear you down?" The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. The defense attempted to discredit her testimony, claiming she was playing the victim. But the evidence was too strong, the intent behind their actions too clear. Taylor's lawyers closed their case with a powerful statement. "This isn't about silencing free speech. It's about holding people accountable when their words cross the line into falsehoods that harm." The courtroom's atmosphere was electric as the closing arguments concluded. The jury had witnessed the lengths the network had gone to for the sake of sensationalism, and the impact it had on Taylor and her reputation. The weight of the case was undeniable. As the jury deliberated, the world outside buzzed with anticipation. Supporters rallied on social media, praising Taylor for standing up not just for herself, but for truth. Critics, however, warned of the potential chilling effects on media freedom. The stakes were high, not just for Taylor, but for the broader conversation about ethics in media. The trial had exposed more than anyone anticipated. It wasn't just about one artist. It was about the power of words, the responsibility of the press, and the resilience of a person who refused to be silenced. Now all that remained was the jury's verdict, which would determine the outcome of this extraordinary battle. The courtroom was silent as the jury returned to their seats, their expressions unreadable. Taylor Swift sat composed, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The world seemed to hold its breath as the foreperson rose to deliver the verdict. Cameras outside the courthouse captured the tense atmosphere as crowds of supporters and media personnel waited for the decision that would determine the outcome of this high-stakes battle. "We find in favor of the plaintiff, Ms. Taylor Swift," the foreperson announced. The words hit like a seismic wave, sending murmurs through the courtroom. Taylor's legal team exchanged relieved glances, while the defense lawyers sat visibly deflated. But Taylor herself remained calm, her posture steady, though the slightest glimmer of relief flickered in her eyes. The jury had not only ruled in Taylor's favor, but had also awarded her significant damages, emphasizing the harm caused by the network's actions. The court found that the network and its hosts had knowingly crossed the line from fair commentary into defamation, with clear intent to harm Taylor's reputation for their own gain. The leaked emails and recorded conversations had sealed their fate, leaving no room for doubt about their motives. For a moment, the room was filled with a mixture of emotions. Taylor's supporters, many of whom had been sitting in the gallery, quietly celebrated the verdict, while others outside erupted into cheers. Social media lit up instantly, with hashtags like #Justice for Taylor and #Truth Matters trending worldwide. Her fans flooded platforms with messages of support, many calling the verdict a victory, not just for Taylor, but for anyone who had ever been wrongfully attacked. Outside the courthouse, reporters scrambled to capture reactions. Critics of the lawsuit claimed it set a dangerous precedent for free speech, but the overwhelming majority praised the decision as a necessary step toward accountability in media. "This isn't about silencing anyone," one supporter tweeted. "It's about holding people responsible when their lies hurt others." As Taylor stepped outside to address the crowd, her voice was steady, though her eyes glistened with emotion. "This case wasn't just about me," she said. "It was about truth and integrity. Words have power, and we all have a responsibility to use them wisely." Her words resonated deeply, leaving a lasting impact on everyone who heard them. Taylor's victory was more than a legal win. It was a stand for dignity, truth, and resilience in the face of relentless criticism. The verdict sent shockwaves across the nation. News outlets and social media platforms buzzed with reactions, dissecting every detail of the trial and what it meant for the future of media accountability. For Taylor Swift's fans, the ruling was a triumphant moment. "This wasn't just a win for Taylor," one fan tweeted. "It was a win for everyone who's ever been unfairly attacked or misjudged. She stood up for truth, and we're so proud of her." The hashtags #Justice for Taylor and #Words Matter trended worldwide for days. Fans shared heartfelt messages, praising her resilience and thanking her for using her platform to shed light on such an important issue. Memes of the courtroom moments and clips of her post-trial statement circulated widely, creating a wave of positivity that drowned out much of the earlier negativity. But not everyone agreed with the outcome. Some critics argued that the ruling set a dangerous precedent, warning that public figures might use lawsuits to silence genuine criticism in the future. Prominent commentators on both sides of the political spectrum debated the implications, with heated discussions on news programs and in online forums. "Where do we draw the line between free speech and defamation?" one journalist asked during a televised debate. The trial had sparked a larger conversation about the responsibility of the press and the boundaries of public commentary. Despite the polarized opinions, there was no denying the ripple effect the case had created. Media outlets began reviewing their editorial practices, some even issuing internal memos about the importance of ethical reporting. "This trial was a wake-up call," admitted one senior journalist. "We need to do better, both as reporters and as consumers of media." Beyond the headlines, ordinary people reflected on their own words and actions. Conversations in coffee shops, workplaces, and dinner tables revolved around the case. "It really makes you think," a supporter wrote online. "How often do we judge people based on incomplete or manipulated narratives?" Taylor remained quiet in the days following the verdict, allowing the world to process the outcome. But her victory had already become a symbol of standing up for oneself, no matter how powerful the opposition. It was a reminder that truth could prevail, even in a world driven by sensationalism, and that the voices of those who choose kindness and integrity can still resonate far and wide. As Taylor Swift stepped out of the courthouse, the crowd fell silent. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and reporters jostled for space. Taylor, poised yet visibly emotional, took a deep breath before addressing the world. "This has been one of the most challenging experiences of my life," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've spent my career trying to connect with people through music, to bring joy and unity, and to stand here today feels surreal. This wasn't a fight I ever wanted to have, but it became one I couldn't ignore." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the crowd. "This case wasn't about criticism. I've faced criticism throughout my career, and I respect the right to have different opinions. But when words cross the line into falsehoods and deliberate harm, accountability is necessary. This wasn't just about defending myself. It was about standing up for truth." Her voice cracked slightly as she spoke of the personal toll. "The lies hurt not just me but my family, my friends, and the people who look up to me. I hope today's decision sends a clear message. Words have power, and with that power comes responsibility. We all need to choose them carefully." Taylor ended with gratitude, her tone soft but resolute. "To my fans, thank you for believing in me and for standing by my side. To everyone watching, let this be a reminder that standing up for what's right is always worth it, even when it's hard. Together we can create a world where truth and integrity matter." Her words resonated deeply, leaving the crowd in awe. In that moment, Taylor wasn't just a celebrity. She was a voice for dignity, resilience, and hope in a world often consumed by noise. The aftermath of Taylor Swift's courtroom victory rippled far beyond the headlines. It became more than just a story about a public figure defending her reputation. It ignited a national conversation about truth, ethics, and the responsibility that comes with influence. Media organizations across the country began reevaluating their practices. Editorial teams held internal meetings to discuss the fine line between critique and defamation, with some even implementing stricter guidelines for reporting on public figures. For many, Taylor's case was a wake-up call, a reminder that sensationalism at the expense of integrity carries consequences. Fans and supporters continued to celebrate her bravery, with social media flooded with messages of gratitude and admiration. "She didn't just fight for herself," one fan posted. "She fought for fairness in a world that thrives on tearing people down." On a broader scale, Taylor's victory inspired others who had been wronged by misinformation to step forward, demanding accountability. Her resilience reminded everyone that no matter how powerful the opposition, standing up for truth can lead to meaningful change. The trial left an undeniable legacy, a reminder that words carry weight, and that even in a fast-moving world, integrity and dignity still matter. Taylor's fight became a beacon of hope for justice in an often chaotic landscape. Taylor Swift's journey through this ordeal was more than a fight for her reputation. It was a testament to the power of resilience. In the face of relentless attacks and unjust criticism, she refused to crumble or retaliate emotionally. Instead, she chose grace and strategy, channeling her energy into a battle for accountability and truth. Her story was a reminder that even the strongest among us can be tested. Yet it also proved that standing firm in the face of adversity can lead to lasting change. Taylor's victory wasn't just about clearing her name. It was about shining a light on the ethics of media and the importance of using words responsibly. Through her actions, Taylor inspired millions to believe in the value of integrity. She showed that it's possible to fight for what's right without losing sight of who you are. Her resilience turned what could have been a moment of despair into a powerful example of courage and dignity. In the end, Taylor's message was clear. Even when the odds are stacked against you, truth has the power to prevail. Her fight was a victory for everyone who believes in fairness, accountability, and the strength to rise above. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of resilience and truth. If you found Taylor's story inspiring, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this. And while you're here, check out the videos on your screen. They're packed with more stories that will move and inspire you. See you in the next one.